Okay. Hello, everybody. I am still Tina Zahara, believe it or not. Okay. I would like to I'd like to stop doing definitions just for one video to do a sort of a profile, do a full reading, right? And so we're going to create a character. We're going to create a set of problems, and then we're going to solve the problems with tarot. So this is what we're going to do. Okay, so when you're doing a full length reading with the general, the first thing I want to do is I want to write the person's first name. So let's call this character Polly. So it's Polly, and let's give her a 7/12/72 birthday. Okay, so first I have it written out. See? And I will leave that there because I sometimes stare at it while I'm shuffling the cards. One thing is, when you're doing a reading, you want to, while you're asking the question, you want to repeat that question in your head over and over and over again while you're shuffling. So Polly's here, and she's on the other side of the desk. She's invisible. And so, okay, so I am shuffling the deck a few times. I don't want to see anything really important on the bottom of the deck, because then that's a card that Page of Pence is fine. Okay, so now I'm done shuffling. I hand it to Polly. Polly shuffles it until she feels done, at least 3 times till she feels done. She gives it back to me. I shuffle it once so the cards know it's me reading. I hand it back to her. Notice that it's going reverse, straight, as I'm passing it back and forth, because on the other side of the table, it's going to be reversed. What's right side up to me is going to be reversed to her, right? But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take a wide swath of energy off of her and organize it and bring it into me, right? So that's sort of the purpose of the triangular shape spread. So now I've shuffled it. She's cut it into 3 piles to her left. In this case, I'm just going to do 3 piles to my left. Okay, and then I hand it back to her and I say, tap 3 times and say your name out loud. So let's say she does Polly. Now, when she did that, I see that she's serious, that she is taking control of the situation. She's got a closed fist instead of an open hand. She's not tapping lightly. She's not tapping on the desk, whatever. I didn't give her any instruction other than tap 3 times and say your name out loud. And that was how she chose to do it. So we see that this is a woman who's trying to take her life into, her circumstances into her own hands. Okay. So now I am going to do I'm going to do it 3 months. This is going to be a 3-month spread. So I'm doing it upside down so that it's right side up to you guys. 2, wait. Give me a second. No, I want to do it this way. 1, this is the second one. This is the first one. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so 1972 makes her past childbearing years. So the Empress is not going to be pregnancy. We know that going into it. I'm going to set this aside so I have more room. Okay, so she comes to me and she says, I'm married to Bob. And so I write down Bob's name. Bob. And Bob's date of birth is going to be 1/6/68. Okay? And it's pretty common there that you have the Capricorn as the older person in the relationship. Okay. So she says, "Oh, Tina Zahara, what am I going to do? Bob is moody and he's cranky and he doesn't seem to want to make love to me and he's all curled up in himself and I can't get through to him and I feel so lonely. I miss him." So, what's the first thing I want to know? The first thing I want to know is she telling me the truth? Now, I'm not going to check up on her across the board on everything, but people's perception, there's his side, her side, and then the truth, right? So you've got to presume that nobody is completely objective when it's their own life. So the first thing I want to know is I want to know how he's feeling about her. Is he feeling like he wants to get out of the marriage? Is he feeling like he's just whatever? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle the deck. Now, she's not touching the deck at all anymore now. Now it's all on me. And I'm going to say, what is the truth about how Bob feels about Polly? And of course, the cards are going to not be cooperative. What is the truth about how Bob feels about Polly? I'm going to cut the deck into 3 piles to my left. And I'm going to lay out 10 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, give it a little bit more room, 10. Okay, so we're looking at a snapshot. This is a snapshot, but your 3-month general is not a snapshot. This is moving through time. So right now, the way he's feeling is he's feeling like he's not really sure that this marriage really has a future. He wants it to. I mean, he doesn't appear to be cheating. We haven't gotten there yet, but the King of Rods, it does tend to be faithful. He does seem to want the relationship to work. This is right side up. This is right side up. Your 2 kings are right side up. And so, he's still fully in the marriage, but he's not sure it's going to work. He's feeling some real incompatibilities, which is pretty common. Now we're going to talk about astrologies for a second. She's a Cancer. He's a Capricorn. That's opposites. When you get opposites, they either really perfectly complement each other. He's good at what he's good at, she's good at what she's good at. They're different, and so together they make sort of one whole. But there are going to be times that they just don't see eye to eye on things, and there are going to be problems at different times. So here, with your reverse temperance card, you're going to be saying, okay, he's feeling some incompatibilities. He's wondering whether the marriage really has any real hope. He doesn't look, really as worried, although these 2 would indicate worry here, as much as he looks like he wants to give this relationship the benefit of the doubt, despite what it looks like right now, because there have been other times, let's say they've been married for 10 years, there have been other times that they have worked really well together. And so he's not willing to give up on it, but there just seem to be, here you've got high multiples. You've got a 10 of Rods here. You've got an 8 of Swords here. You've got a 6 here. You've got a 7 here. That would indicate to me, 9 here, a lot of different instances where he's feeling this incompatibility. He's feeling this concern about the overall, future of the marriage, right? Because you have all these high number spot cards that would indicate a lot of different situations, right? But he's still content, even though he's not sure where it's going. He does still seem content to be with her because despite the incompatibilities, the iffiness of it, he does seem to want this marriage. Okay? So we can say, okay, he's still in. You haven't lost him. What we don't see in here is we don't see anything in here that looks like he really loves her. I don't see really loves her. But again, astrology, when you're dealing with any of the earth signs, Capricorn is an earth sign, they tend to process love in a more practical way than a more emotional way, which is, again, part of why sometimes you see Cancer and Capricorn together a lot. And the Capricorn is going to be more practical and the Cancer is going to be more emotional because the Cancer is water and water is emotions, and the Capricorn is earth, and so he's going to be more practical. But still, a Capricorn is still underneath the surface a big squish ball. He's still like a very loving guy, and he wants a lot of love because he's the opposite of Cancer, which is the big squish ball, right? And so we'll get into all that when we do the astrology. I'm just letting you guys see how this actually works to sort of work out somebody's problems here, right? So the first thing I can tell her is I can say, I don't think you've lost him. I think he does want the marriage. That's what's important. The commitment seems to be still intact. I would like to see it a little stronger, and I'm not going to tell the client this, but I'm telling you this. These two things that indicate these three cards that really sort of indicate his commitment are still minors. I would like to see majors, and I don't see majors. I only see one major when I ask how he feels about her, which is not that great. It's not horrible because there's nothing here that says like she drives me nuts and I can't, she's getting under my skin. I'm not really seeing that. I'm seeing more like I'm trying not to let this bother me. I'm trying to not let the multiplicity of problems pile up on me, but they kind of are, but I'm still in. Okay, so what I would tell her, because I'm not going to tell her every single little thing, because you don't know, a person may present themselves to you as under control, and they've got a problem, they're coming to you with a problem, but they're under control, but you don't know that they actually are. And people can be very tricky, and people are always trying to outsmart a psychic, which is the stupidest thing ever, but whatever, that's what people do. So I'm going to withhold the part that says his commitment is not as strong as I would like it, and I'm going to withhold the part that says that I don't see love here. What I'm going to lead with, because whenever you have a situation with two people who are in a relationship, most particularly if they're married, you have to always err on the side of trying to hold them together if that's what they both want, right? So I'm going to ask her, Polly, what do you want? Do you want this marriage to work? And she's a Cancer. Chances are she's going to say yes, right? And so I'm saying, okay, good. So both of you are on the same page. You both want this marriage to work. The commitment is intact, but it does feel like he's got some issues with you, and that there have been a lot of issues that have come up lately that are making him a little bit concerned about the longevity of the marriage, which I think you share too, or you wouldn't be asking me. Okay? And I'm leaving it there. I just want to know how he feels. Okay? So now I'm going to pick all these up, and I'm going to leave that general there because we haven't really used the general yet, right? So now we're going to say, I'm going to say, okay, so how has the marriage been going in the last 3 months as opposed to the way it's gone for the 10 years that you've been married? And she's going to say it's been problematic for the last 3 months. Now, when you've got opposites, neither one of these are both cardinal signs. They're not fixed. So chances are their problems aren't going to be as protracted as if you had fixed opposites. And so if she says, well, it's just been kind of getting worse and worse over the past 3 months, then you're like, okay, so this hasn't been like going on for a really long time. It's kind of long. It's enough to cause some concern, but not enough to really worry, right? So the next question I'm going to ask is, guess what? What is the truth about what will occur in the relationship between Polly and Bob in the next 3 months? Okay, because she's going to care more about the immediate right now. If we want to look into it longer, we can do that if we don't feel convinced or settled with just looking at 3 months. But we're going to start with 3 months. Okay, so what is the truth about what will occur in the relationship between Polly and Bob in the next 3 months? Cut the deck into 3 piles to your left. Okay. So this is today. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, now, the Empress is potential fulfilled, and she's 3 months from now. The Four of Pence, which I'm going to give you a little cheat on here, is letting go. So while it looks like both of them are kind of in it now, by 3 months from now, it doesn't look like they are. Now, it doesn't look like, I don't see anything in here that looks like a real knockdown, drag-out fight. I don't see anything in here that looks like infidelity or, I mean, here, this is a little concerning here, which would be a month to 6 weeks from now. So what's a month to 6 weeks from now on my general? That would be these cards. And these look pretty good. These don't. So this is going to refer to something other than the marriage. And she'll probably ask about something else too. But here, this doesn't look good. Now, I wouldn't look at this and say, this could be physical abuse or even emotional or psychological or financial or whatever kind of abuse, sexual. But it could. So we're leaving that possibility open. And if you notice, 1, 2, 3, there's a little subspread here that's like these 3 really crappy cards. These are bad. When you put these 3 together, and especially since they're all touching each other like that, that's a bad omen for a marriage. That just does not look good. It doesn't necessarily imply that the marriage is over, but it does. This is a 9, so since it only goes up to 10, that's bringing someone pretty close to the edge right there. And these are very combative cards and very angry cards. So these aren't very good. And where it leads, as you're going this way, right? They're trying. It looks like for a minute it's getting better. Here you see there's problems, but they're kind of going along. And then here and here are about approximately the same time, which would be, somewhere around 2-3 weeks from now. They both look like there's things sort of take a turn for the better, and they're both big cards and they're both good cards. So this is kind of hopeful here. But as it keeps going, it looks like it kind of goes down the crapper a little bit, right? Not here as much, but here, because this is specifically about the relationship, not generally, specifically about the relationship. And it looks like they go through, here is like remembering what they once had. Here is the anger and the frustration and all the dark, yucky stuff that happens when relationships go through a dark phase. This is sort of losing hope. I don't know if this is going to work, and maybe I should just let go. And here it looks like maybe I should just let go, but it's not definitive. I don't have a death card here. I don't have an Ace of Swords here. I don't have anything that says somebody walks out on somebody. I don't even have a reverse 10 of Pentacles or a reverse 10 of Cups or something that would indicate someone leaving the family home. What I have is I have a crappy next 3 months, basically. There's going to be some ups, but it's not going well. But that's not what I'm going to say to her. What I'm going to say to her is I'm going to say, it looks like while both of you are really trying, I think both of you are really pushed to the edge. You guys, I wouldn't say that anybody's got any toes over the edge, but your toes are right up to the edge. And so what I would recommend in this time frame is when things start getting crunchier, because it does look like it's going to start getting crunchier in about a month, give or take, is to step back from the relationship. This is not a time to try and fight it out, because fighting it out is just going to make it worse. This is a time to try and pull back and say, okay, let's let the dust settle a little bit. You do your thing for a couple of weeks. I'll do my thing for a couple of weeks. And we'll just kind of try and stay out of each other's hair as much as possible. Let this kind of calm down, and we'll come back at this later. Now what you've done is you've taken a situation that looks pretty not good and you're trying to breathe life into something better. You're trying to affect the outcome. Now, there's no guarantee that A, they will back off. There's no guarantee that backing off is going to help, but it's the best shot they've got, basically. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to help them, and you're trying to help them stay together and get happy with each other again. And that's the best shot you can take, right? But it doesn't answer the question. And if I know most Cancer girls that I know are not going to be satisfied with that, they're going to say, is my marriage going to make it? So what would I do next? I would say, okay, well, since we don't really have an answer to that question looking at 3 months, let's pull back and let's look at a little bit more time. Now, in this case, because this looks pretty bad, I'm going to look at 6 months. If it looked like it was getting better, I would probably look at a year. But if I have to give someone bad news, I don't want to give them a year's worth of it. She's asking for more than 3 months, and her request for more than 3 months is a reasonable one. So I will comply with it. But I'm not going to project out that far because, again, I don't want to give her really, really, a long period of really bad news. So now I'm going to say, what is the truth about what will occur in the relationship between Polly and Bob within the next 6 months? Okay, cut the deck into 3 piles to your left. Boom, boom. And lay out your cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Polly and Bob are not looking very good for the next 6 months. Now, what we should be able to pick up on, if we could really trust that Polly and Bob would really sort of pull back like I suggested. Doesn't look like it looks like she's going to sort of clam up is what that looks like to me, which isn't the same as pulling back. Pulling back is like, we're just tied up in a knot. This isn't going to work. We're just going to tie this knot tighter. I'm just going to pull back, let's kind of, if you want to work late, that's great. We'll maybe have dinner and try not to talk about anything heavy during dinner, and then maybe just watch TV after dinner and not talk, But here it looks like she clams up on him instead, and that backfires. That reversed Ace of Pentacles looks like a backfire, which is right about the same thing as here. And if you think back to the 3 month, that's right about when we had the star reversed. And that's bad. That's a full right side up 10 of swords. Somebody really hurt somebody here. These two are really starting to hurt each other here. And it looks like it's going down the poop chute. And so now what do you say to her? Do you say, well, too bad, your marriage is going down the poop chute, sorry. This is when I would say to her, I I question whether either one or both of you have the capacity to pull back when things get really bad in an attempt to let the dust settle a little bit so it doesn't get worse. And if you don't, it looks like your result is going to keep getting worse and worse. So now you're giving them a warning. You're not telling them what to do because that's not your job. But what you're saying is, based on what I'm seeing you do, this is the result that you're going to get, right? Now you have free will. There's nothing here that looks like this marriage is doomed, and there's nothing here that looks like it's fated for you two to break up. Because here, your first card, they're still showing us the lovers right side up. I mean, that's a good omen. So I would say, I would really give some real thought to marriage counseling, to taking maybe separate vacations, to, maybe getting some interests on your own on the side that kind of keep you apart. If someone takes a class twice a week at night or something like that, that's 2 nights out of the week that you won't be under each other's feet. Or if somebody wants to go to a retreat or a spa or something for a weekend, whatever. Just anything to sort of get them to pull apart a little bit, but they're both intense signs and they're both stubborn. And so, we're just doing this based on astrology. They're not real people. So, we can't do it based on the specific person. But, I'm making my generalizations based on astrology, which may or may not be accurate in if these people were actually real. But again, this is all theoretical. So we're just figuring out how to work things out. So what we've kind of done is we've kind of come to a brick wall. Like, this isn't going better, and these two aren't going to do the smart things that you should do if you're trying to save your marriage rather than be right. So let's try and redirect this reading at this point away from the marriage. We've given her some bad news. She may, while we're talking, take it just fine, but she's going to ruminate on it, and she's going to think about it over time, and she may get really shook by what we've already said, and we're not here to upset her worse. We've made our warning. We've made our recommendations, and let's kind of try and redirect the reading at this point to something that might give her a better result, right? Because this isn't all bad. It's not a great 3-month general, but it's not all bad. And it does look like there is some kind of assistance, that the universe does want to help her, So like, okay, maybe there's something we can find that's going to be better. And I would say, this is what I'm seeing. Everything is still free will. You always have the option of doing things in a way other than what the cards are seeing that you would likely do had I not said anything, but I have said something. So you think about that. You decide what you're going to do. Is there anything else you would like to know? So then she'll say, yeah, I like the work that I do. I like my job pretty much. But my boss, I used to think she likes me, but now I'm not really sure that she does. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to whip out my handy dandy paper and pen. Where'd my pen go? I lost my pen. I'm going to whip out my handy dandy paper and pen, and I've lost my pen. And I'm going to say, what is your boss's first name? Now, remember, people don't know how much you know. Oh, there's my pen. People don't know how much you know. I mean, a lot of people think that if you read tarot cards, you're necessarily psychic. And psychic means that you wake up in the morning knowing every single thing about every single person and their entire future in detail. It doesn't really work that way, right? And so I would say, the first thing I would say is, okay, what is your boss's first name? And so you want to make sure that they understand that their anonymity is still theirs. I have not asked for last names. I do not know where they live. I do not know a city. I do not know a state. And I do not ask if people ask about making a long distance move, I will sometimes ask about what state they live in, right? So I can sort of locate them on a map faster. But in this case, we don't need to. So boss's name, let's say boss's name is Jennifer. And let's say she knows that Jennifer's date of birth is 2/20/58. Okay. So the first thing, what she wants to know is she wants to know if Jennifer really likes her or not, or if she's done something that Jennifer doesn't like and Jennifer just hasn't said anything to her. So the next question we're going to ask is, yes, indeed, what is the truth about how Jennifer feels about Polly? Which is, again, another snapshot question. How we're bouncing back and forth between what's right now and what's going to happen as we're moving forward. Okay. My dog left a little dog hair for me. Okay, so what is the truth about how Jennifer feels about Polly? And at this point, I'm staring at the piece of paper, which I can't do because my table's not big enough here, but I'm staring at the piece of paper that has Polly's name and date of birth and Jennifer's name and date of birth so that I know that it's that Polly and that Jennifer, okay? And I'm asking as I'm shuffling the cards, what is the truth about how Jennifer feels about Polly? I don't do that out loud. I do that silently to myself because you got to leave a little bit of mystery. They don't need to know what your process is. That's your business. Okay. Oh, see, and I've got the moon at the bottom of the deck. I don't really want that at the bottom of the deck because that's a juicy card. And if that should come up, I want it to be able to come up, so I'm going to keep shuffling. Okay, 8 of Swords is fine. Okay, cut the deck into 3 piles to the left. Boom, boom. And now here's how Jennifer feels about Polly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we've got some big cards here. We've got the Chariot, we've got the Justice card, and we've got the Star. We've got 3 majors. That's good. And so the majors that we have, remember that the Chariot is about timing. So with this Chariot reversed, I would say that she's feeling like she does genuinely like her. I think she genuinely likes Polly, but she's not liking the way she's behaving right now. That she's thinking that maybe something's going on with Polly. Polly doesn't seem to be herself right now, but that overall she does like her, and that she's just figuring she's going to get it together. She'll pull it together when she realizes that her head's not entirely in the game, and she'll work it out. So this looks fine. Polly may, at this point, still want to know if her job is in any kind of jeopardy. Since this is kind of iffy, I think it's mostly iffy because of the marriage from what we've seen so far. Let's just, for the sake of argument, pull on Polly's job over the next 3 months. Because Polly's not really that much concerned about Jennifer as much as she is concerned about her job. And you kind of have to, go into this with that understanding. You don't have to say that out loud to her because she'll probably argue with you about it. So I would just say, okay, what is the truth about what will occur in Polly's job over the next 3 months? Oops. Beautiful spread. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. If you're going to be looking these up in your book or whatever, what you're going to see here is that right now, there's she's kind of stepped into because this is kind of like a birthing canal. The world here is kind of like the birthing canal. She's kind of stepped into a period in her job where her head is not in the game. She is not really at her best. Maybe she's pleasant, whatever, but she's not really at her best, and things are not going well. And it looks like things don't go well right up until you get to this Tower reversed, which would be, give or take, the Page of Swords. And what this would indicate to me, because we're bouncing off of here and here, is that because Jennifer really does care about her, right? She's going to have a pretty stern conversation with her. And she's going to say, I have been quiet and I have been tolerant of your head not being in the game for the last month, but I'm just about done with that. And so I would strongly recommend you pull it together right now and figure out what you're doing with this job and get your head back in the game. At which point, Polly, being the good security-minded Cancer that she is going to go, you know what? Especially if my marriage isn't going to work, I absolutely need my job. And she will pull it together and boom, boom, boom. Looks great. Looks great here. Looks great here. Okay? So this kind of, now what you've done is when you're reporting this to her, you're going to say, like, look, if you don't pull it together on your own, you know, because it does look like you're sort of entering dangerous territory here. If you don't pull it together on your own, you've got about 5 weeks before Jennifer kind of lowers the boom on you. And she will be lowering the boom on you as your friend, as your friend, as your friend. She will be lowering the boom on you and saying, I don't want to fire you. I want you to stay at this job. Pull it together. Don't force me into a position I don't want to be in and you don't want me to be in. And you will pull it together. You might as well do it before she has a stern conversation with you rather than after. But if you don't, you don't. And in the end, this is going to lead you to be better at your job and to be really fully engaged in your job, which will take some of the stress off of your marriage, because then you won't be obsessing about the marriage all the time. You'll be more, you know, head first at work. And, you know, this will take up more of your mental energy than your marriage, which will be better for your marriage. And I think that we can work this thing out so that you can keep both. Now, don't ask her anything else. If she wants to ask you, she can ask you. But I wouldn't ask her anything else because now you're ending on a high note. You don't ever want to give someone bad news, bad news, bad news, bye. That's just rude and it's not helpful to them. And it doesn't make you feel good and it doesn't make them feel good. It's just not the whole point of reading. The whole point of reading for another person is to help them. The whole point of reading for yourself is to help yourself. We've hit a point where we're helpful. We can give you hope for your marriage with some stern warnings. We can give you hope for your job, a lot of hope for your job, because it looks like you will come out of this thing in your job much better than where you were before your head fell out of the game. And there could even be some sort of a raise or promotion here. I would say more like a promotion than a raise, for just really pulling it together and doing a good job. So now you're leaving it on a high note, and I would leave it there if it were me. Okay, but I just wanted you guys to kind of see the process, how I'm thinking, what's causing me to ask what questions I'm asking, how I'm actually applying the answers that I'm getting from the cards to the questions that I've asked, and how I'm bouncing off of back and forth. This thing I've barely read at all. I've barely even touched it. There's not that much to tell here. There's not a lot of majors. You've got 2 majors out of 3 majors out of 15 cards. And 1 ace. I mean, it just isn't a really powerful spread. There's nothing here that looks like, boom, there's something really important happening anywhere. So there's not really that much to report on. So you really don't have to even